We are back yet again. You keep tuning in and we keep yapping with the Thicc podcast talk about week 5 of the NFL season. And the biggest story of the week was supposed to be the 49ers facing off against the Cowboys. It was a battle between two of the best teams in the NFC. Oh, the Cowboys, it's their year. They're on top. Their defense is elite. Dak is Dak. Versus the 49ers, looking to get revenge for the divisional round last year. Didn't quite go that way for the Cowboys. The 49ers owned that poverty franchise. Brock Purdy outplayed Prescott by a wide margin. Really, every single unit the Cowboys had, which they pride themselves on, was outplayed by the 49ers in some way, shape, or form. Their pass rush was outdone. Micah Parsons was silenced despite facing a substandard amount of double teams for the player that he is. Did nothing. Trent Williams had him in jail. The receivers, not much. The running game, not there. Meanwhile, 49ers dominated every single aspect of the game. And this just tells us there is a gap between San Francisco and everyone else. Maybe the Eagles start to bridge that gap a little bit. Still going, still dancing, still one of the best teams in the league over in Philadelphia. But it's pretty clear it's those two, and that's it in the NFC. Cowboys, what do you expect? Your quarterback was worse. You are a worse coach, worse run organization. There's no shame in it. There's nothing to be said about it. You lost to a better team. And unfortunately, that team is going to remain better in the playoffs. Your season's over.
Well, this game, it didn't show us anything about the 49ers organization. We knew they had the best roster from top to bottom. That's been clear. They have the best defense. They have one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. They have the best off-ball linebacker in the NFL. They have a top tight end. They have the best non-quarterback on the offensive side of the ball in what Christian McCaffrey is doing this season. The fact the 49ers went out there and did their thing should not be a shock to anyone. Who I want to address is the people shocked with Dak Prescott's performance and shocked with the Cowboys' offensive performance. What Dak Prescott did in that game should come as a shock to no one. I mean, we already know he's a carbon copy Kirk Cousins. We've seen him have some of the best games ever against some teams, and then we see him fall completely flat on his face. This is nothing new to us. It shouldn't be new to you. The only people this game should come as a shock to are the people out there who think that Dak Prescott was a top 5 quarterback. What this did say about the Cowboys and what was reinforced to me and what I said about them before the game is that Mike McCarthy can't be this team's head coach. The offense with him at the helm is just not good. Dak Prescott looks completely uncomfortable and lacking any confidence out there. At least in the past, when he's throwing interceptions, he's putting up big numbers to go along with that. And in this Cowboys offense, that's not the case. The only time he's been successful this season is when the defense is dominant and they're playing with a lead. The offense has better offensive pieces than they did last season. They have Brandon Cooks. We've now seen Tony Pollard take over the backfield. He's been good when he has had the ball in his hands. The receivers are better. The offensive line is the same. And what has changed? The guy who's calling the plays. He's over there, their old player callers over there in Los Angeles, leading one of the best offenses in the NFL. And Mike McCarthy, who got fired from Green Bay for being a bad play caller, is doing the same thing now with the Cowboys. So that is my biggest takeaway from this game. It's not the 49ers defense. It's not their offense. It's not Brock Purdy. It's Mike McCarthy just sucking.
God forbid we give a team credit, and God forbid you don't yap on for 4 minutes about your hatred of Mike McCarthy. He seems like a nice guy. He's a jolly-looking individual. He smiles in interviews. He's a nice round fellow. He's like us. We should get him on Thicc Inc. And saying, oh, he shouldn't be the head coach. He's a fine head coach. He's just not a good offensive coordinator. Shouldn't be calling the plays. If you want to get a replacement for Kellen Moore, fine. If you want to delegate some responsibilities, fine. But fire the head coach who's brought this team success. Bit of a stretch, man. A bit of a mistake, if I do say so myself. But do we really need to go in depth? We both acknowledge the 49ers are the better team. Their offensive play calling was superior, and that's because of McCarthy. But McCarthy should not be fired for this. He should just be replaced at the coordinator position.
Well, what success has he brought the team? I mean, it's Dan Quinn who's transformed
winning games in the NFL at a consistent level. Have they missed the play, or have they had a losing season when Mike was in town, besides the one Dak snapped his ankle in half?
Has that happened because of him, or has it happened because of Dan Quinn transforming that defense from what was a bad defense to what they are now?
They were winning when they had mediocre defenses. Like, saying fire Mike McCarthy feels like a very Cowboys-esque fan thing to do. You know, our good friend Cowboys Beat, noted top 5 Dak enjoyer, was saying the same stuff. But hey, if you want to agree with him, by all means.
I was saying it before the game even happened.
All right, buckaroo. Speaking of dysfunctional coaches, what is going on in New England? They are getting outscored by an average of 37 points over the past few games. It's embarrassing. It's dreadful. 34-0, 38-3, What do you do with that? 2 weeks in a row, to the Cowboys, somewhat understandable, but to the Saints, getting beat up on by New Orleans, it's over. We're done here. There's no moving forward with Bill Belichick and this team. The defense has been ravaged by injuries. Maybe they went into the season thinking they were going to slow things down, control the clock with 2 power backs. It's not happening. Too many injuries, not a well enough constructed roster. The interior of that offensive line is not strong enough to do that. And who built this team, you may ask? It's Bill Belichick. And while he's the best coach of all time, best defensive mind ever, throw all those things out there. He's also old. He's also not got a lot left in the tank. He's also not capable of building a roster in the NFL in the year of our Lord 2023. It's just not going to work anymore. I don't know if you can fire him for what after 20 years in New England. I don't think you can. Kraft probably won't. Belichick's got a long leash, but he doesn't work anymore. The snake oil, which wasn't really snake oil, but it's become snake oil, is still being sold, and Patriots fans are still going to have to keep buying it every single year Belichick's in town.
Well, I don't think the narrative should be that Bill Belichick doesn't work anymore. I think the narrative should be he doesn't understand the offensive side of the ball, and he may have never understood the offensive side of the ball. And Tom Brady was covering up those patches for all those years and all those Super Bowls he won. I mean, you take a look at what they've done now. They've scored 20, 17, 15, 3, 0 points. The offense has somehow found a way to get worse every single week. And that's because he doesn't understand offense. He understands defense, and he can have some defensive masterclasses that will be how they win any games this season. But Mac Jones went from, during his rookie season, looking like a very solid quarterback, ironically with Josh McDaniels at the helm, who can't figure out being a head coach over there in Vegas. Mac Jones is not capable of covering up those blemishes that are on that offense when it comes to skill positions. Devontae Parker is one of their best receivers. Hunter Henry is their main target, and they want to be a running team, but now they can't even run the ball. Ramondre Stevenson has done nothing this year. So I think the biggest story from what we've seen from the Patriots this season is that Bill Belichick doesn't understand offense. If he finds an OC that is very capable and he gives up scouting duties for the offensive side of the ball, I think we could still see him turn it around. Maybe they tank and get a Caleb Williams. Maybe they get a Drake May. It could happen.
Once again, you're blaming the wrong guy. And if you want to say he doesn't understand offense, fine. He's not calling the plays. He doesn't understand offensive roster construction. There's a subtle difference between the two. And if you're spending all your money on the defense, it kind of makes sense as an expensive unit, even though New England is somewhat frugal with their pennies. Still, I just don't see it working out. Maybe he can still be a coach. I don't think Bill Belichick, the coach, is the issue. I think Bill Belichick, the general manager, particularly for the construction of the offense, is the issue. You don't need to be involved with one side of the ball if you're the head coach. It's just how things are. You need to get told, okay, we're running this play, and say, all right, or if you really object to it, you object to it, say, hey, call something different. But that doesn't matter. He can still be a working head coach in the NFL. I don't think he'd be the head coach if he got fired as the GM, but Bill Belichick, the coach, is fine. Bill Belichick, the general manager, not okay.
I basically agree for the most part. And when it comes to being a head coach, and I think not understanding offense and not understanding offensive construction is kind of one and the same, at least as far as the point I was trying to get across.
But now, speaking of well-constructed offenses, you owe a certain someone an apology. I've noticed.
I don't
Shut
owe
up!
anyone an
Silence!
apology.
You don't know ball. That is you to your left or your right, whichever direction it is in the camera. That is
me.
Your face. Why did we not give Desmond Ridder the same leash as we give other young quarterbacks? Why do we say, oh, Kenny Pickett, he'll be better this year. He had an entire offseason with the offense. Why did Kenny Pickett get that luxury? Why did Trevor Lawrence get that luxury his rookie year? Why does Justin Fields still get that luxury? But everyone and their brother, particularly you, was so quick to dismiss Desmond Ridder, saying, oh, he had a few bad games with Atlanta as a young quarterback. He's not going to work. He's not going to work. After 3 games this year, saying, oh, he's not going to work. He's not going to work. The Falcons stink. Falcons have a winning record, but of course that doesn't matter to you. And yet he has a breakout game. He plays great. It's not, oh, his receivers caught checkdowns and did magic with him. He was throwing guys open. He was clutch. He was hitting the deep ball. He was hitting the mid-range ball. He was orchestrating a masterful offense. And no one's talking about it. I had to bang my hand on this desk and make you talk about Desmond Ridder today. We have been way less patient than we should have been with Desmond Ridder. As a fan base in totality, as sports fans, we should have waited and listened. This is one good game in his young career. He can build off this. He is a solid quarterback, and we are now going to see the fruits of that Falcons offense truly blossom. I don't care that he did not target your precious Kyle Pitts. That doesn't matter. 300 yards is 300 yards. A win is a win.
Yippee, you beat the Texans, who have one of the weaker rosters in the NFL that's being propped up by the dominance of C.J. Stroud in his rookie season.
Texans defense, which manhandled the Steelers offense last week.
Oh, manhandled the Steelers offense?
Yep.
That's some accomplishment, manhandling the Steelers offense.
It's an accomplishment. They manhandled an NFL offense. They have looked much better than you thought they would at points in this year.
And
the
guess
Texans
what?
defense is not bad.
And guess what? They were losing. C.J. Stroud went down the field, put together a game-winning drive, and then how many points he scored? What did he score? 20, 23, 24?
Not enough to win.
I'm talking about your beloved Desmond Ritter.
He scored enough to win.
Oh, yeah, that's the only thing that matters.
Over 300 yards, multiple touchdowns, but that doesn't count because you don't like him. Okay.
He should be producing when he has one of the most talented running back to come out of the draft since Saquon Barkley, possibly more talented from what we've seen from Bijan Robinson this year so far. He has I think it was his top 10 pick in Drake London out there catching passes for him. He is the number 4 overall pick in Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts stinks. Let's just address that fact. Jonnu Smith's good. I have a lot of respect for Jonnu Smith, but the notion that Kyle Pitts, because he was a top 4 pick, is suddenly an elite talent is ridiculous. He had one good rookie year, and guess what? He is not getting open anymore. It's not Mariota won't throw him the ball, and Desmond Ritter hates him, is not throwing the ball. Kyle Pitts is not getting open at a high enough rate to get the targets he wants. Give up on that notion. It is a talented offense, sure, but Kyle Pitts ain't a part of that.
Barely beating the team that was the second worst team in the NFL last season. This is not a roster that is overly talented. Barely beating them. Throwing for 300 yards, having one good game is not some signal that all of a sudden he's a great quarterback. This is the same thing people do with Daniel Jones early in his career, and even now. He'll have 2 good quarters, throw for 4 touchdowns, have 300 yards, 70 yards rushing, whatever it may be, and completely ignore the other
Daniel
6
Jones
games that were
never
horrible.
had a game as good as this Desmond Ritter game was. He may put up stats comparable, sure. You like watching box scores. I understand. It's easy for you. He has never looked as fluid with the football, as clutch, as poised as Desmond Ritter did last week.
Funny you say that, being a fan of a team that lost to the Giants in the playoffs last year.
Who? Who asked? Exactly. You are bringing up relevant stats.
You said he never put a game together that looked as good as Desmond Ritter in Week 5 against the Texans and the Daniel Jones, who... By the way,
let me be clear. Winning a playoff game counts as putting a good game together. That's on the quarterback. You are attributing that win against a bottom 5 defense ever to Daniel Jones. Not your head coach, who you glaze constantly. Not Saquon. That's on Daniel Jones now. You're one of his fans, I guess.
No, I'm pointing out your broken logic. Your Week 5 game against...
your brain here. Come on. It's not just, he looked good, he looked clutch and all that. The arm talent's also there. You've got to admit, at the very least, he can put some air under that thing.
It's the same thing people say about Daniel Jones. Oh, the arm talent's there. He can sling it. He can put some air under it. Yeah, every quarterback should be able to do that.
The Atlanta Falcons got a better quarterback than Daniel Jones in the second round when the Giants spent, was it the 4th or the 6th overall pick on Jones? I think it was the 6th overall. How does that feel? Desmond Ritter will be the best quarterback in Falcons history. Maybe, he might already be the best quarterback in Giants history, looking at how pitiful that organization has been at that position.
Okay.
Hey, man.
This is an unserious man.
I could win the Super Bowl if I was playing with that Giants defense.
This is an unserious man that predicted the Vikings to beat the Chiefs, and he just said Desmond Ritter would be the best quarterback in Giants history. I'll let that statement speak for himself. That doesn't even deserve a response.
You have no ability to argue, so you will bring up random, irrelevant facts. It's okay to lose. You're a Giants fan. You're used to such losses. And speaking of losing, how about them Giants? It is a unique situation when commentators are talking about Daniel Jones saying a prayer to his departed relatives, begging for forgiveness as he walks off the field after a performance. That's something else. Tua Tagovailoa was laughing after he threw an interception against you guys. How does that make you feel? He knew it didn't matter. That's like J.J. McCarthy throwing 3 interceptions against Bowling Green a few weeks ago in college. It's meaningless. He could do whatever he wants. Tua Tagovailoa could have 12 yards, 5 picks, and a defensive safety. It still wouldn't matter. Because the Giants are that bad of a team. No Saquon Barkley hurts, but that's why they're that bad of a team. They're the worst team in football. There's no two ways about it. Without Saquon, they can't beat anyone. They couldn't beat the Panthers. It's just the way it is.
Are you done yapping?
I've never done yapping. Also, you've been saying, Mike McCarthy, actually, it's not this, it's not that. Let me name every unit individually. It's not these guys. It's not their second cousin twice. You don't get to talk about yapping, Mr. Apocalypse, but I will let you go ahead.
I like to say it makes me feel anything anymore when the Giants lose. That's just not the case. It's a regression back to the mean of what was New York Giants football prior to last season. The offensive line, pathetic. The quarterback play, pathetic. The pass rush, non-existent. There's nothing good about this team, and, I'd like to say I was upset after that game. That wasn't the case because I'm used to it at this point. Being a New York Giants fan over the last 5 to 6 seasons, you're numb to the losing. It doesn't even hurt anymore. And the biggest winner from this game is Saquon Barkley, because he avoided the stigma of holding out and, kind of maybe the unjust narrative the public and media spins about players that hold out in order for a better contract. And now we've seen how bad the Giants are. I think you and I already knew this, but now everyone has seen crystal clear how bad the Giants are when Saquon Barkley is not on the field. He got the good graces by signing that contract, being on the team. Now he unfortunately got injured, and the Giants are what they are when Saquon Barkley isn't on the field. They're a college football team, and when it comes to Daniel Jones, he is now also injured. And I would just say to the Giants, just let Tyrod Taylor go out there and play, because a healthy Daniel Jones, the best Daniel Jones you're ever going to get, is not doing anything behind this offensive line. So sending him out there to die and, possibly break his neck, make his whatever neck injury he has even worse, it's pointless at this point. Put Tyrod Taylor back there.
Send poor little Tyrod Taylor to be the sacrificial lamb. Well, if someone's getting it hurt, it's got to be the backup. Not the guy making $40 million a year to go out there.
Daniel Jones is already hurt.
Let him keep playing.
Maybe Tyrod Taylor can actually do something. He threw for, I think, 20 less yards or something like that than Daniel Jones.
You got angry at me for saying Tyrod Taylor was better than Daniel Jones a while back. I was right about that. I just want to clarify. Tyrod Taylor, better quarterback than Daniel Jones. He's just not making as much money. Giants are the 4th best team in the Big Ten East right now. No two ways about it. Michigan, Ohio, and Penn State are running over them.
Now we have the Vikings, your team, who has been just as many wins as the Giants. Right now, they're still competing for Caleb Williams. And I don't even know what to say about the Vikings at this point. Their turnover situation is horrendous. They're leading the NFL in turnovers. They're leading the NFL in fumbles. They're tied in the NFL for a worse turnover differential. That is the biggest problem with this team. It makes no sense to me that a team with the best receiver in the NFL, top 5 tight end in the NFL, a quarterback that is above average, is as bad as they are. They can't win games. They now lose to the Chiefs. The losing streak just continues.
Well, the losing streak is 1 week long. They won last week. Get your facts right.
The wins don't count when you're losing 4 games.
Okay. Logic has left this conversation a long time ago. And Vikings lost this game. A little bit upset about it. Hard to beat the 11 men on the Kansas City Chiefs offense, the 11 men on their defense, and the 4 men wearing black and white on the sidelines. Questionable penalties, but that's the Kansas City way. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vikings song is not over. They are going to still keep dancing. 1-4 is a deep hole, certainly, but you cannot deny the fact that they have played 4 playoff teams so far. It's been a rough sled to start the season. Playing the Chiefs, playing the Eagles, playing the Buccaneers, those are rough games. The Chargers, rough game. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Next week, the Bears. A free win if I have ever seen one.
Okay.
Talking about, man, the Bears are revamped. They're so good. They won their first game in 14 weeks. Grow up. Against a terrible team, I might add, the Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football. The only time the Bears can win games is if the opponent has a disadvantage in their preparational time. Vikings don't have that. Flores is going to torture Fields. Then the 49ers. A rough sled, to be sure. I am still thinking of a way the Vikings can win that game. By the time they play the 49ers, I'll have the answer to that. Okay. Still need a few weeks to think about that, though. But after that, the sky's open. They're going to play the rest of the NFC North. Thank God. They're going to play the Packers twice. They're going to play the Bears again. They'll probably split the series with the Lions because of how bad the Lions' defense is. The light is there at the end of the tunnel, folks. 10 wins is still possible. We are not done here in Minnesota.
Are you forgetting the very important fact, that Justin Jefferson may miss a couple weeks?
You don't need Justin Jefferson to beat the Bears.
Okay.
Again, I've kind of already chalked up the 49ers as a loss. So
all right.
2-5. The deeper holes have been dug out of than 2-5. The Lions were like, what, 1-5, 1-6 last year?
And they missed the playoffs.
They almost made the playoffs, had 9 wins, almost snuck in, took Green Bay out. It's not over, folks. To say the Viking season's done, they at least look like a professional football team, unlike the Giants.
I mean, they have as many wins as the Giants, so I don't know how professional they're looking.
Is that the stat you're going to keep cool? They're the same number of wins. Tristan, I think the Vikings might beat the Giants by about 8 touchdowns this week. Kirk Cousins would be laughing throwing touchdowns. Justin Jefferson would be over there with crutches, still dusting your sorry secondary and your poor use of first-round draft capital on that position unit. Pathetic stuff over there. What happened to Shane?
At the end of the day, the Vikings' interior offensive line, still bad. Their interior defensive line, still bad.
How does it feel knowing both those units are better collectively?
Let's put it this way. Their defense is better than it was last season, was not good, was very bad last season, giving up 40 less yards per game, and they have a worse record. That's how sorry the Vikings are right now. Their defense is better, and they're still losing more.
Is this supposed to be some like, oh, I'm standing over the backboard, here you come down the lane dunking on me? Is this the chutzpah, the right hook there? Tristan, I at least enjoy watching Minnesota Vikings football. I am not apathetic, unlike you. You, my friend, have nothing but my pity. And speaking of pity, I feel bad for Lamar Jackson. I really do. What was it? 5 drops?
7 drops.
7 drops, man. Ooh. In crucial moments, nonetheless, man. Still lost the game, still playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. At some point, after drop number 6, you've got to just run that sucker yourself as Lamar. There's no other option. Odell, who is he? Why are you wearing that jersey? Who is that number 13 for the Giants? Whoever it is, he's not on Baltimore's team. That guy is long gone. Zay Flowers, I thought he was the best rookie receiver. Turns out, maybe the 4th best. Just uninspiring football from that position unit all around. Losing to the Steelers, losing to Matt Canada's decisive offensive play calling. And we thought this team was going to win the Super Bowl. It's a shame. It really is.
Well, I think this game kind of showed us, and these are what these teams have been over the past few seasons. Steelers defense, dominant. Steelers offense, pathetic. Ravens, when they play bad, they play really bad. They play down to their level of competition, and they lose the game in embarrassing fashion with a George Pickens touchdown, and then also sack at the end of the game to seal it for the Steelers. So I think this has kind of been what these two teams have been over the previous seasons. If you're a Steelers fan, I don't think you feel that excited after this game. You know your offense is still bad. If you play a good offense, you probably lose. Ravens, it's more of the same. Your receivers still not doing Lamar Jackson any favors. Mark Andrews dropped the touchdown. Rashad Bateman dropped the touchdown. Nelson Aguilar dropped the touchdown. Zay Flowers, 2 other easy drop passes that would have been, I think one would have been a first down, another one would have been a big play. So it's what we've seen from these two organizations over the previous 2 seasons. And I don't think we really learned much as far as predicting the rest of their season.
Dead wrong about the Steelers, because Kenny Pickett actually did learn something. He learned that when you check out of Matt Canada's plays, you find success. So I would not be surprised if we saw quite a few more audibles down there at the live scrimmage from young Kenny Pickett, and maybe not a drastic improvement, but a noticeable improvement in that offense. If Kenny Pickett just goes full rogue, calls his own plays the entire game, the Steelers go from scoring 15 a game to scoring like 20, 22, 24 a game. That's enough with the Steelers defense.
So is he going to be in the office during the week, writing his own entire offense, setting up separate practices with the offense?
That would be rather players only practice. Sorry, coaches, we're running over.
We want to actually win games and score points.
Matt, we appreciate you, but you can stay home, pal. That's one of the all-time... Not a hot mic moment, but a hot camera moment where Matt does not celebrate his team scoring a touchdown to win the game because it wasn't his play. That is beautiful. That sucker is gone. Get ready to learn Canadian, pal. Get ready to learn college football, bud. It's over.